The Galactic Council chamber was alive with tension, its vast expanse filled with the holographic forms of representatives from hundreds of species. The air buzzed with the hum of overlapping translations as delegates debated the latest crisis. At the heart of the discussion was the Quorvan, a creature so feared that even its name was rarely spoken aloud. The Quorvan has escaped containment, announced a Ziltherian representative, her crystalline voice reverberating across the chamber. 3 of our most advanced facilities have already fallen to its rampage. Cannot be reasoned with, it cannot be subdued. It is a force of pure destruction. Gasps and murmurs rippled through the assembly. The Quorvan's reputation was legendary. Towering at nearly 3 meters, its bioluminescent scales shifted colors with its emotions, while its venomous spines and razor-sharp limbs had torn through everything the council had thrown at it. The creature had been captured decades ago, but it had never shown signs of anything but pure hostility. "What do you propose we do?" demanded a representative from the Arthenian consortium, his 6 eyes narrowing. "Another containment attempt? Or shall we simply bombard the reserve and eradicate everything within?" The suggestion elicited a sharp intake of breath from several delegates. The reserve, a lush jungle planet designated for rare and endangered species, was a symbol of the Council's unity and commitment to preserving life. To destroy it would be unthinkable. The human representative, Commander Aiden Carter, had remained silent throughout the heated exchange. He was new to the Council, representing humanity, a species still regarded with a mix of curiosity and skepticism. Aiden was unremarkable by galactic standards, average height, lean build, with a calm demeanor that some species mistook for passivity. When he finally spoke, his voice was steady but firm. "Has anyone tried to understand the Quorvan's behavior? What drove it to escape in the first place?" A collective silence fell over the chamber, followed by incredulous laughter from several representatives. The Zetheri delegate, a massive, armored being with a booming voice, scoffed. "Understand it? Human, this creature is the embodiment of death. It does not think as we do. It acts on instinct alone, kill or be killed." Aiden folded his arms, his expression unreadable. "With all due respect, every creature has a reason for its actions. Even predators don't attack without cause. Perhaps we've missed something." More laughter, though a few delegates exchanged uneasy glances. Humanity's reputation for unconventional thinking was both a point of fascination and frustration among the Council. "You suggest we talk to it?" The Arthenian representative sneered, his tone dripping with disdain. "No," Aiden replied, "but I do suggest we approach this with less fear and more understanding. Let me go to the reserve. I'll assess the situation firsthand." The chamber erupted in protests. Sending a human, one of the Council's weakest members, biologically speaking, was absurd. But Aiden held his ground, his calm confidence unnerving even the most vocal critics. Finally, the Council speaker, a neutral AI entity, intervened. "If Representative Carter wishes to risk his life, the Council will not stand in his way. However, his failure will be his responsibility alone." Aiden nodded, unshaken. "Understood." The jungle reserve stretched out in endless, vibrant chaos. Towering trees with phosphorescent leaves cast an eerie glow, while vines as thick as a human torso dripped with bioluminescent sap. The air was thick with moisture and the faint hum of alien insects, punctuated by distant, guttural roars. The alien members of the expedition team moved cautiously, their every step calculated. Aiden Carter, by contrast, seemed relaxed, though his sharp gaze missed nothing. "This planet," muttered Kale, a spindly Antherian biologist, "is a death trap. Every plant and creature here is designed to kill." His compound eyes darted nervously as he scanned the underbrush. Aiden adjusted his gear, a compact pack loaded with basic supplies and a stun rifle slung across his back. "It's beautiful," he remarked, almost to himself. His words earned a bewildered glance from Kale, but Aiden didn't elaborate. The team pressed deeper into the jungle, their path marked by the destruction left in the Quorvan's wake. Massive claw marks gouged into tree trunks, entire swaths of vegetation flattened as if by an enraged force. The scent of scorched earth and acrid venom hung heavy in the air. "Look at this," said Vrel, a hulking Merakian tracker, pointing to a shattered containment barrier. The reinforced alloy had been twisted and melted as though it were mere plastic. "This is why we don't get near it. Nothing survives its wrath." Aiden crouched near the barrier, inspecting the damage with a critical eye. "There's no pattern," he said after a moment. "This wasn't a calculated escape. It was panic." "Panic?" Vrel rumbled, his voice incredulous. "It's the galaxy's deadliest predator. What could it possibly fear?" Aiden stood, brushing his hands against his pants. Predators can feel fear just like prey. Something triggered this. The group fell silent as they approached a ravine. A faint, otherworldly glow emanated from below, the Quorvan's bioluminescent scales. It lay sprawled among the wreckage of trees, its immense form rising and falling with labored breaths. Even injured, it exuded raw power, its spines glinting like deadly blades. The team froze. Kale hissed, "This is as close as we get. If it senses us, we're finished." Aiden ignored the warning. He studied the creature from a distance, his expression thoughtful. The Quorvan didn't appear to be hunting or attacking. It was licking its wounds, its movements slow and deliberate. "It's injured," Aiden said quietly. "Yes," Kale whispered harshly. "And it'll kill anything that comes near it. That includes you, human." Aiden unslung his rifle, holding it loosely in one hand. "Stay here." The aliens exchanged panicked glances as Aiden began descending the slope. Vrel growled, "He's insane. He'll be torn apart before he gets within 10 meters. The Quorvan's head snapped up, its glowing eyes locking onto Aiden. The air grew thick with tension, the creature's spines flaring in warning. But Aiden didn't stop. He moved slowly, his body language calm and non-threatening. The team watched in stunned silence as the human approached the galaxy's most feared predator without a trace of fear. Aiden stopped a few meters from the Quorvan, close enough to feel the heat radiating off its massive form. The creature's bioluminescent scales shifted in color, pulsing with a deep crimson that betrayed its agitation. Its spines quivered, ready to strike at the slightest provocation. He crouched slowly, lowering himself to its eye level, making himself appear smaller and less threatening. He kept his gaze steady but avoided direct eye contact, a gesture of respect rather than challenge. The Quorvan growled low in its throat, a sound like grinding metal, but it didn't lunge. "You've been through hell, haven't you?" Aiden said softly. His tone was steady, calm, almost conversational. The words themselves didn't matter. What mattered was the cadence, the lack of aggression. The Quorvan's growl deepened, but its spines remained raised rather than striking. Aiden took this as a good sign. Slowly, he extended one hand, palm facing up, keeping it well below the creature's head. He didn't move closer, letting the Quorvan decide if it wanted to engage. Behind him, the alien team was frozen in a mix of horror and fascination. Kale whispered, "He's going to get himself killed." The Quorvan doesn't hesitate. It always strikes first. But the Quorvan didn't strike. It sniffed the air, its massive head tilting slightly. The crimson glow of its scales began to soften, fading to a deep amber. Aiden remained still, his hands steady, his breathing even. "You're not a mindless killer," he murmured. "You're just misunderstood." The Quorvan shifted its weight, lowering its head slightly, its bioluminescence dimming further. Aiden stayed where he was, letting the creature acclimate to his presence. Finally, it moved closer, its movements slow and deliberate. Its massive, clawed paw extended tentatively, brushing against Aiden's outstretched hand. The aliens watching from above couldn't believe their eyes. Kale muttered, "It's responding to him? That's impossible." Aiden didn't flinch as the Quorvan's claws, sharp enough to rend steel, grazed his skin without drawing blood. The creature made a low, rumbling sound. Not the aggressive growl from before, but something softer, almost curious. Taking the smallest of risks, Aiden moved his hand gently along the side of the Quorvan's snout. The bioluminescent scales felt warm under his touch, their texture smooth but firm. The creature didn't pull away. Instead, it leaned into the contact, its massive body visibly relaxing. "It's okay," Aiden said quietly. "You're not alone." The rumble in the Quorvan's throat turned into a sound the aliens had never heard before. A low, purring vibration that reverberated through the air. Vrel's deep voice broke the silence above. "It's purring? Is that even possible?" Aiden smiled faintly but didn't look away from the Quorvan. "Everything's possible when you stop treating it like a monster." The Quorvan settled down fully, its spines retracting slightly, its breathing slow and steady. For the first time in its recorded history, the galaxy's deadliest predator seemed at peace. The Galactic Council chamber was silent as the holographic recording played before the assembly. Delegates leaned forward in disbelief, their focus entirely on the image of Aiden Carter kneeling beside the Quorvan, calmly running his hand along its bioluminescent scales. The creature, known for its unparalleled aggression, was lying still, its spines retracted, and a soft, rhythmic purring emanating from its throat. When the recording ended, the room erupted into chaos. Shouts and exclamations filled the air, voices overlapping in a cacophony of disbelief. "This must be some form of manipulation," an Arthenian delegate snapped, his 6 eyes glaring at Aiden. "The Quorvan is incapable of such behavior." "It's no manipulation," Aiden replied calmly, his voice cutting through the noise. "What you saw was real. The Quorvan isn't a mindless killing machine. It's a living creature with instincts, emotions, and needs. It lashed out because it felt threatened, not because it's inherently violent." The Zethari representative leaned forward, his massive frame dwarfing the humans around him. "You mean to suggest that this predator, responsible for countless deaths, is misunderstood? That it's tameable?" Aiden shook his head. "Not tameable. Understandable. There's a difference. It's not about control. It's about respect. Every action it took was a response to the way it was treated. It's no different from the dangerous creatures of Earth. Wolves, lions, even sharks. We feared them once too, but we learned to coexist." A ripple of murmurs passed through the chamber. Some delegates nodded thoughtfully, while others exchanged skeptical glances. The Quorvan's violent reputation was deeply ingrained in galactic history, and Aiden's words challenged everything they believed. The council speaker's neutral, mechanical voice broke the tension. "Representative Carter, your actions have undeniably defied precedent. However, what are the implications of this encounter? Do you propose we treat all such creatures as misunderstood?" "I propose we reconsider our approach," Aiden said firmly. "We can't let fear dictate our actions. We've labeled the Quorvan a monster because we didn't try to understand it. But what if we approached it differently from the start? How much pain and destruction could we have avoided?" A Yethral biologist, whose species was known for their academic rigor, interjected. "Even if this is true, the Quorvan is still dangerous. Its strength and instincts make it a threat to any environment it's placed in. How do we manage that?" "By giving it a space where it can thrive without feeling trapped," Aiden replied. "The reserve wasn't built for a creature like the Quorvan. Its needs weren't met, and it reacted the only way it knew how. We can create an environment that respects its nature, rather than forcing it to conform to ours." The room fell silent as the weight of Aiden's words sank in. Finally, the speaker addressed the assembly. "This event challenges our understanding of coexistence and the role of humanity within the council. Let this serve as a reminder that every species, no matter how fearsome, has the potential for peace if given the chance." Aiden stood tall, meeting the gaze of the gathered delegates. The Quorvan had proven a simple truth. Fear could be overcome with understanding. Humanity, it seemed, had much to teach the galaxy.